5705. But there's no reply. Can I put it back on, Uncle Jim? No, right, okay. You don't get any money for the jukebox? No. It's annoying. It's annoying, Jim and Pat. Right, okay. Well, they seem nice guys. I have a Coca-Cola, please. Aye, Coca-Cola. A packet of cheese and onion. Thanks very much. So I'm trying to hit the yellow balls. It's the yellow balls I'm hitting, right? So I can't hit the reds. Can't. Okay. And then I put in the black. Right? But don't put the white in after. Right? Okay. That's fine. 5705. Can I get the jukebox? No, it's Jim and Pat. It's annoying because of the 5 past Latchford. Okay. No, that's fine. Hi folks, welcome to your Gersnet immediate post-match reaction pod, coming to you in association with Forest Precision Engineering and Football Prizes. I hope Forest Precision Engineering also make defibrillators, because I could do one a wee job lot of them if they get me a discount. And a friends and family discount, and Football Prizes. Well, the Football Prize today seems to be a massive coronary. The yellow ones are too thin, my blood. Aye, the red ones, they're just they're my actual heart. No, the white ones from my nerves, and the black, don't touch the black one. No, the black ones, that's if we don't win the treble. I'll just be having that one myself with a bottle of bleach. That was quite a wee game we had the other day at Paisley. Rangers have won their first league game in 4, and I don't really know what to make. I'm delighted. Obviously, you will be too. And a lot of funny look-alike things going on today. I don't know if you noticed this. Alec Gogic, there's a close-up of Alec Gogic, who was heavily involved. Big Cypriot centre-half for St Mirren. He had a great game today, putting himself everywhere, as he does. I think Fabio Silva needs to take lessons from Gogic on how to cheat. You've got to be good at it. You've got to know how to do it properly. Nothing against the fella, I think he's absolutely fantastic. But there'll be close-up of him at one point in the game. I'm thinking, he looks like Ian Durrant. I mean, he doesn't look anything like Ian Durrant, but he does look like Ian Durrant. It's like Ian Durrant, no Ian Durrant, we had the Adam Clayton, U2 kind of permy mullet thing going on, but Ian Durrant late in his career, in fact, maybe Ian Durrant when he was at Kilmarnock, and he's just like a total solid professional. He's got that kind of getting to the end of his career girth about him, but also the kind of muscularity. I thought, he looked like him, but he didn't look like him. I mean, there was a close-up of Michael O'Neill, the Northern Ireland manager. He's in the crowd. A few players for him to watch today. And I know Michael O'Neill, we all know what but he looked like Alec Baldwin. He's got the grey hair going on. I think he's having a good hair day. Michael O'Neill looking pretty healthy, and it doesn't look like Alec Baldwin. I mean, no, Alec Baldwin's kind of big. Maybe I shouldn't talk about Alec Baldwin. Maybe he's involved in something really horrendous. Danny Baldwin, one of the Baldwin brothers. Danny Baldwin, he's in LA Takedown. He plays Bobby Schwartz in LA Takedown, which is the original version of Heat that Michael Mann put on. It was a TV movie in 1989. It was a kind of rough draft for Heat. It's a movie I might have spoken about before on this. But I just like Michael O'Neill looks like, but he doesn't really look like him. But in that moment, that fleeting moment, it didn't. And then when the man who kind of saved the jerseys a day, quite literally, Jack Butland, when he got that ridiculous booking, that the card that matched his jersey, matched his kit, was produced by the deluded at times today, Nick Walsh. Cameras closing in on him. How do you feel about that? Jack Butland? And he said a wee kind of look in his face at one point. He looked like a fit, thin Ricky Gervais. But he doesn't look anything like Ricky Gervais, Jack Butland. Of course, that's an insult to Jack Butland, who's a really one of the kind of middle-class guys who works out and does lots of kind of team leader type things. But he's nothing like Ricky Gervais. But he did look, just that second, he looked a bit like Ricky Gervais. It looked like it. He didn't look like it. And the big question today is, does that look like a Rangers team that's going to win the league title? We'll never mind the treble. We'll park, as Jack Butland would probably say in the dressing room, the Scottish Cup to the side just now. We'll park the Scottish Cup final just now. Are we going to win the league? Are we going to be able to keep the pressure on Celtic to the point where we actually overtake them? No and yes. Did look like it, but didn't look like it. I remember, let's take a random example. We beat Dunfermline 1-0. I'm sure it was we beat Dunfermline 1-0. Dado Puzzle scored in the 7th minute. I think it was a game before the split in 2004-2005 season. Alec McLeish is the manager of Helicopter Sunday. That's how that season ended. Helicopter Sunday, we gave the impetus back to Celtic and then just took it off them in the last minute. And I remember Daryl Purcell scored early doors. I think Dunfermline still had a plastic pitch. I can't remember what happened during that game. I can't remember if we were pounding the Dunfermline goal, if Dunfermline didn't get over the halfway line for the rest of the game or anything like that. I doubt it though. I seem to remember sitting there and my nerves being utterly shredded and me needing a right good drink after it, in the longest 90 minutes of my life. In that respect, today we did look like a Rangers title winning team. This is how it's done. You're just deal small to feed all, as my gran would say. We can't be doing the exorbitant 4-0, 5-0 wins all the time. I know people talk about the goal difference and that, but that's not. I agree with Todd Cantwell in Friday's press. I don't think that's going to come into it at this time. I think we would need to beat Celtic at Parkhead, and then there'll be another slip up somewhere, a point slip up. Maybe not just by them, by us. I think neither team has the consistency, I think, to win all the games outside the Old Firm game from now to the end of the season, as few games as there are remaining. But it's like we can't go, we don't have the energy to spread that amount of goal, to be good and scoring 3 and 4 goals every game. It's just get the points, do enough to get the points. You're almost managing how much energy you've got, but at the same time, on the other hand, you're looking at that game today and saying for long periods we looked like we just didn't have it in us. We certainly didn't look like a team who was desperately going for the title. So are we completely jacking it in, physically, psychologically, whatever, or are we managing what we know we've got in the tank as well as we possibly can? Because we won, because we got the 3 points, because it's so bloody long since we got the 3 points, let's just enjoy ourselves for this little moment in time anyway. And I tell ourselves that we're going to do the business, that we're managing this, but this is how leagues are won. This is how it goes, and it is so long since we've been in this situation. I'm old enough to remember when there's only 4 games to go. There's only 4 league games to go, and we're still in the title race now. I'm recording this obviously just after the Rangers game has finished. I watched it live on Sky, and I started off in a really bad mood because you see that big dude, the big dude in the away end the day the cameras are closed, and the cameras wouldn't stop looking at him, stop rubbing it in my face that he's got the Castor hoodie. He's got the full Castor hoodie. I've only got a stupid wee Morrison's nutmeg hoodie or whatever it is, $2.99 job, and big packet of Doritos as well, and he's stuffing, he's just putting them in his face, and I can taste them. I can taste the Doritos. All I've got left is 2 of the steak and thing with the flame grilled McCoys, the 6-packs. You get them for £3.25 for the 2 6-packs together. So you're going to get the 2 6-packs. I've had 12. I've got 2 left. I've had 5 on Friday night, I had 5 on Saturday night. I always make a wee deal with myself that I've got 2 for the Sunday night just to cheer me up before we get back to normal on Monday. But that boy's he's howling into it. I'm like, I absolutely hate it. And then that St Mirren ball boy, the Waynes were just doing my nut in the day. Throwing the ball, no letting Balogun get the quick shot, and he gets sent off. Referee sent him off, sent off the ball boy. Boy, it's a child, you know what I mean? Let's take it easy there, folks, with his wee spiky hairdo. But it was a weird kind of day, wasn't it? It was a very weird day between a ball boy being sent off and the referee, Nick Walsh, fouling Todd Cantwell via Alec Gogic. That was a weird one as well, the ball getting burst. And every time we put the ball into the St Mirren box, I felt as if we were bound to score because I kept mistaking the St Mirren goalkeeper for a Rangers player because of that kit he's wearing. In fact, I've just noticed my keys here for this room. That's the colour. That is the very colour there. It's a kind of violet type colour that he was wearing. We was wearing the all blue. We're wearing the European. St Mirren are trying to get into Europe. They're trying to get the days where they had St Mirren. They are St Mirren when they had Feyenoord and Sanetti and Mechelen coming to Love Street in European competition. If they can do the business post split, St Mirren have a good chance of getting themselves back into European football. We want to have it at their new stadium for the first time, and almost as a tribute to that, the goalkeeper was wearing this kit that was identical to the Real Madrid kit that they wore when they lost the 1962 European Cup final, when they won the second leg. Well, they lost it 1-0. I think they'd won 5-0 or 5-1 in the first leg of the 1986 UEFA Cup final against Cologne. Or the second leg was actually played in Berlin. I think the referee was Bob Valentine of Dundee. You know, the guy who's allowed to referee a Dundee derby, despite coming from Dundee and people just deciding that he didn't have any bias at all. They were the days. I remember, we would need Dundee. I mean, Celtic are probably 4 or 5-0 up on them just now already within 5 minutes of the game kicking off, but I think we would need Dundee to beat Celtic by 4 clear goals for us to go top of the league the day, or for us to even go into next week dead level with Celtic. We're temporarily level with them on points. with that win today, which is absolutely fine. But I imagine they'll go steaming ahead with things. I remember 1980. I don't know if it was 79-80 or 80-81 season. Aberdeen won the league 79-80. Celtic won the league 80-81, but I'm sure it was 1980 that Celtic lost 5-1. They lost by 4 goals at Dens Park. It's not going to happen today, I know that for a fact. I mean, Celtic have already. But I remember being in the Milton. I used to go, when I was a boy, come for a dross, and it was a big treat for my sister and me to go and stay. My aunt and uncle, who stayed in Kilburnie, I've been to Kilburnie, my aunt and uncle would take us up to Kilburnie. They were married, just newly married. I don't know if it was practice, they were having weddings or whatever, but we loved it. It was great because they were kind of chilled out and they had great music and all that. It was good. It was good stuff. And I was 10 in 1980, and I remember my uncle the next day on the Sunday, he took me along to his local boozer. I'm sure it was called the Milton. This pub in Kilburnie called the Milton, and it was a mix. He's a Kilmarnock supporter. That's what happens when you stay in Ayrshire. And there's Rangers supporters in this place, and there was a lot of Celtic fans as well. So it was a kind of 5 past Latchford. But I remember playing pool. It was playing pool, and we were allowed to put tunes on the jukebox, and it was at 5705. It was a song that started with the American, dial-in tone thing, which didn't get in Britain at the time. So it was really exotic. I loved it. Plus a pretty simple lyric for a boy of my age back then. But the 5 folk had already been playing it to have a go at the Celtic boys, and I didn't know what time is it. Oh, it's 5 past Latchford. No, Bob Latchford. Peter Latchford. Bob Latchford, legendary goal scorer. But I remember that day well. It was really good, because Rangers were crap at that point in time. So it was nice to see Celtic getting 5 pit past them. But Rangers were playing in front of crap crowds and like 10,000, that kind of stuff at Ibrox. These days we're playing 50,000 every home game, and we're always the only other team that can win the league. Second is the worst we're going to finish, whereas in the days we could finish 4th and 5th. We finished behind St Mirren in those days. In the 9 years we went between winning the treble in 1978 and the first league title under Souness in 1987. So this is how it goes. This winning league titles can go the way that game went today, where it's all right, said Fred, talking about music, having a go at folks, having a go at defibrillators yesterday. Really nice of them. Just a few days after the anniversary of the Hillsborough disaster. Really nice of them to be having a pop at the fact that the defibrillators getting put in phone boxes just now. I think it may be somebody with their anti-vaccine conspiracy garbage. The whole right-wing thing these days is anything compassionate is communism. Woke means you want to go back to the Soviet Union or something like that. So that was really nice. But I must admit, I'm be quite up for having defibrillators in every room in my house right now. Not just because of my weight, not just because of my age, but because of the way Rangers are making us suffer through these games. And that's what you have to do. Because we haven't won league titles recently, we've only won 1 league title in the last 13 years, whatever it is. People don't have that confidence that this is what's going to happen. This is just the slog you have to go through. You're going to go through games, so it's really, really nervy because we haven't won any of our previous 3 league games either. People watching that game today, it's like we had 5 minutes of joy. 5 minutes of joy in the first half. We're actually leading the game. Everybody's feeling, okay, this is going the right way. Finally, the plan's working. Oh, that's St Mirren have equalised. And then we come out in the second half. You'll give your team maybe 5 minutes to get over the concession of a goal. Say, right, okay, stretch that to take us up to half time. It's probably 10 minutes. St Mirren, I think they equalised 37 minutes, something like that. But the second half we come out and didn't play for the first 20 minutes. Just didn't turn up. Looked weary, looked tentative. You're just waiting for St Mirren to get the next goal. And we had about 5 minutes of pressure and we get a goal. And that's Cyril Dessers has now scored the winner. 2 winners in really tight, nerve-jangling victories at St Mirren's new stadium. Still a new stadium to me anyway. The first game they played there was actually against Kilmarnock. That was the opening league game. It was a wee draw with Kilmarnock, who I think, if I recall correctly that day, were wearing that Real Madrid colour strip that the goalkeeper's wearing today. And every time he launched the ball into the St Mirren box, their goalkeeper, just at first glance, maybe it's my specs are failing me, he seems to be wearing the same strip as Rangers. Rangers wearing a European kit, the all-blue European kit in tribute to St Mirren's effort to try and get into Europe. But I think Rangers were definitely targeting the goalkeeper. It was all 3 goals featured balls to the back post. It hit the back post. Now, St Mirren supporters, if any of you that happen to be watching this podcast, you can let us know, has your goalie been failing? Has he been flapping at the back post this season? Because we were doing the in-swingers. It was Tav taking them from the left, Bonner taking them from the right when it came at the corners. And you're just at the point of thinking, we keep trying this. And we're getting a bit of joy out of them. We're getting first contact on the ball. We're winning the ball. We couldn't quite do anything with it for that first half hour. And then I'm thinking, you need to vary this, Rangers. We're just going to do this for the whole game, and we did vary it. Borna Barisic hitting it, doing that wee kind of under run, kind of 1-2, where Borna Barisic takes a short corner to Todd Cantwell standing to his left. Obviously, if he was standing to his right, Alec, he would be off the park. And Borna then runs behind Todd Cantwell, and Todd just knocks it left again by a few yards. So Borna is able to change the angle, and we get that ball lofted again towards the back post. The goalkeeper, this time he doesn't get to it at all. Proper flap at it, and Diamonde, who was nae startlingly good today, but he just gives us that bit more confidence. Noticed that last week against Hearts. He's in at the back post, like watching the ball, just concentrating. He's got nous, as well as energy, as well as dig, as well as enthusiasm, as well as drive. I love this boy. I just never say it, but I love this player, I love this young fella. He's at the back post, and he nods it back, basically across the goal, and Bolton, James, Michael, how can I live without you, Bolton, of St Mirren, it deflects off him, into the back of the net. I think it was at Dessers that gives him a wee pat in the head. This is a Rangers habit. Willie Johnson, see when we Zobel, as Rainer Zobel scores Bayern Munich's equaliser for us in the 1972 European Cup Winners' Cup semi-final first leg in the old Grünwalder Strasse, is it the stadium in Munich? The great Bayern team at 72, Breitner, Beckenbauer, Gerd Müller, these guys, and Willie Johnson goes and pats him in the head. The fella's like trying to bury his head in the mud because he's scored this late equaliser for Rangers. And Willie Johnson goes up and pat. Remember Barry Ferguson in the League Cup final? He's playing for Birmingham, the English League Cup final. And the Arsenal player that scored the own goal that won the cup for Birmingham in the celebrations, Barry. Baza runs up and gives the guy a wee pat in the head. I mean, that's no nice. That's out of order. And, as a neutral, you're probably thinking St Mirren deserved their equaliser just for that alone, for rubbing the guy's head in it. But that was us. We were a goal up. I need to go back to the beginning of the game. How we started the game today. So the nerves are all over the place. I'm a bit shredded with that one. Borna Barisic was back in at left back, so that lets Dujon Sterling push up to the wing. He's playing in the right wing. Maybe he played out of position as well. Did he play up? Was it the right side or the left hand side? The first time Clermont took us to play St Mirren this season, the second time we went there this season. Remember, we won 3-0 under Steve Davis, and that's the thing. That's what I'm talking about when it comes to Deal Small and feed off. Steve Davis goes there having lost in Cyprus in his first game as temporary manager, and then he goes to St Mirren, who are doing really well. Are doing comparatively well this season. Gobs them 3-0. I know there's a guy sent off in that game, a penalty and whatever, but this Clermont has gone though, and he's only won by a single goal on both times he's been to St Mirren this season, playing there 3 times in the league because of the post-split nonsense. But that's 6 points he's got, whereas Steve Davis only managed 3. I feel as if we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay under Clermont. Just what we can get out of it this season is what's in question. But he gets Dujon Sterling up on the right-hand side to play on the right wing because we lost Sima. As we found out on Friday, it sounds like he's probably going to be for the rest of the season. But you've got to go and consult Brighton. It's bad. And Rabbi Matondo, he was injured as well. Didn't have a great performance at Hampden. He gives us shape. He gives us, he runs his channels. He does what he's supposed to do. He just can't execute very well at times, Rabbi Matondo. But he's out, so he's another option that we're missing as well. He's got to be injured just now. So that lets us get Dujon on the right wing, Mr. Utility Man. And we've got Silva on the left. It's Mr. Reliable or Mr. Consistency or Mr. Ever Present. I don't want to get too controversial with this just now. Cyril Dessers playing up front. You get Todd Cantwell with a great game at Hampden against Hearts last week. He's in behind, playing the kind of 10, in the whole role. The man who's signed a contract with somebody, we don't know if it's us, we don't know if it's with Trabzonspor, but everybody's talking about John Lundstrom. He's in the sitting two with Diamonde, who thank goodness is back. It's Borna, big thing to him starting at left back. I was writing Borna off this season. A few weeks ago, I thought he'd already gone to Turkey, wherever he was supposed to be going. He seemed to have disappeared, especially that game up at Dingwall. He was awful, but I thought he did well today. Back at the ground, was that his first goal for Rangers? He scored a late kind of curling free kick winner, the only goal of the game perhaps, or certainly won that game by a goal to 0 in his first season at Rangers, Borna Barisic. So he's back the other day. Maybe it's got happy memories for him, but he did really well today. You get Tav at right back, and we're continuing the other big news as we continue with Connor Golson being rested on the bench. Connor Golson, that's, of course, the big news the boys were talking about in the podcast on Friday night. A Gersnet preview pod for this game. The podcast that he did with his mates that came out last week, I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I thought it was a fantastic interview. It was really, really telling. And when you heard what he's been through with both his young kids having the same heart defect as him, and I'm only finding out this season, it's a big no bother from me for Connor Golson not being able to give of his all for Rangers. His game perhaps suffering a wee bit because he has given us absolutely everything. So that's fine, just the way these things happen. But Leon Balogun retained his place from the Cup semi-final. It's him and John Souttar at centre half today. And we weren't very comfortable when the game commenced. St Mirren were putting a lot of balls into our box. They've got a big French fella who plays up front, big, tall, bustling centre forward. He was giving us a hard time. St Mirren, like generally Stephen Robinson teams as always will come at you. You remember that League Cup semi-final? The only time Robinson, you saw the stat today on Sky Sports News if you were watching it on telly, the only time Stephen Robinson's actually beaten Rangers in that League Cup semi-final when he was Motherwell manager against Kushinya's Rangers. That was a horrendous day, so that's why we should be more, as far as I'm concerned. I remember that like it was yesterday, so every time we win this semi-final at Hampden, I'm delighted, as I was last weekend. But that was a day of raw physicality where they really did bludgeon us, and they were trying the same stuff today. They got a few warriors out there, a few chunky guys, a few big fellas, and they were just firing right into us, just testing it quite right as well. They're just testing it as this Rangers team about to cave in, as it has looked in the league for our past 3 outings, or certainly our past 2 outings. But no, we kind of stood up to that. We eventually got Jack Butland, a couple of cracking saves. We started getting our foot in the ball. We had a lot of nice moves. I felt as if John Lundstrom has heard everybody talking about him this week. Should he get a new contract? He seems to have chucked it. He's no interested. I think the criticism of Lundstrom has been totally OTT. He's been really out of order. I don't think the guy's brilliant. He's not the best Rangers midfielder of all time, but you've got somebody who can do a job, and I would say maybe 7.5 times out of 10 he's doing that job, and that's been the thing this season, just getting people to come out and perform regularly to give us any kind of template, any kind of shape that we can rely on. And the guys who do that end up, they're the common factor, they're the reason that we're getting beat, because they're there all the time, so they need to take the blame, but they can't execute their job to perfection when they don't know who's playing around them from week to week. But John Lundstrom today was having digs. He floated the ball into, when the first time the St Mirren goalkeeper had a flap early on in the game, John floats it into the back post area, aiming for Cyril Dessers, or perhaps trying to curl it in himself, just misses. And there are a couple of shots, there are a few shots in the game, but he was getting it, turning and playing it forward and putting us in on goal. He was looking good. I felt he looked like he was maybe had something to prove. He was going to maybe try and score a goal himself so he could run up to the fans and kiss the badge and all that kind of stuff, and just tell us that he was committed to trying to win as much as possible this season, if nothing else. But so we get that goal. We get the goal, as I was describing earlier, and you're thinking, yeah, that's fine. Finally, Rangers taking the lead. This isn't as uncomfortable as I thought it was going to be, and we had 5 minutes of that, and then St Mirren just do that thing where they hit the back post, and it's the big fella at the back, but it's just so basic, it's unbelievable. They play the ball back down the wing, just changing the direction of the cross that's coming in, as we had for the opening goal of the game. They fly it up to the back post, and Tav's near it, so he'll get the blame. But it's a centre half's ball. The centre half's got to deal with that. So Leon Balogun, out-muscled, out of position, didn't really cover himself in glory. We can have the argument, analyse it better later on once we've all calmed down about who really should have taken care of that. But it was a bad goal. The centre forward gets his head on it, it goes into slow motion in your mind. You're thinking, he's won that ball. It's gone towards the goal. It's hit the post. We're all right. No, it's gone along the line. It's gone behind Jack Butland. And it goes. They've equalised. And that just knocked the life of it. As I say, you can take... That's fine in terms of maybe up to half-time. You can let the Rangers players take a kind of breather psychologically. They've taken the lead and then they've conceded almost straight away. Nah. That's fine. Let them get to half-time. But the complete lack of response at the beginning of the second half also had you remembering that we'd opened this game the same way we opened that Celtic game at Ibrox, the game against Dundee, the game at Dens Park where we dropped points, the terrible loss up at Dingwall. we'd conceded a really early chance within the opening minute. This habit we've developed recently, and you thought, is that just it? When that happens, whether it's Maeda deflecting the ball or Tav deflecting the ball from Maeda into the back of our net, or we managed to clear the danger, but it's just a sign that when we concede this early chance within the opening minute of the game, we're not going to get all 3 points. Not today. We eventually turned that around, but it was a really worrying spell in the second half. St Mirren looking far more likely. It's probably just me being a Rangers supporter. You're catastrophising in your head. I thought they looked more likely to score. They probably weren't, but we certainly weren't doing anything until straight away. I have to have a word for Fabio Silva. I don't like to be down on anybody, as you know. A lot of Rangers supporters are really unhappy if you're not down on every Rangers player when they're less than perfect. I don't really see I love Rangers, that's what there is to it. I just love them, and I'm always going to give our players and what have you the benefit of the doubt. If I'm part of the problem, happy, clapping or whatever, so be it. But I would hate to be completely down on a Rangers player who turns into a hero, because there could be a few heroes made in the next few weeks. But Fabio Silva, it has to be said, he was having a terrible game. I don't know if it's the horrendous miss he had at Hampden last week, which you hoped he would be looking forward to get started today, so that's going to boost his confidence. The manager telling him, "No, you're all right, go out there and do it again." Something Philip Clement does, I think. Taking Todd Cantwell off, then starting him the next game, and taking Todd Cantwell off like halfway through the first half against a separate team, and then starting the next game or something like that. Anyway, it's just to say that I'm going to give you. I'm no bitter. I'm not being vindictive about it. I'm trying to help you. So he starts Silva today, despite his horrendous miss against Hearts at Hampden last Sunday, and I think if he was ineffective, that would actually be better. It's the fact he keeps getting into positions. He shows that he's got the speed. He's got a touch in there. He just makes all the wrong decisions, and it's the cheating. I was saying he's given a new spin. I sent out a tweet today in the heat of the moment saying he's given a new spin to the phrase, he's the worst cheat I've ever seen. He's just bad at cheating. He's really terrible at cheating. I like that Portuguese cynicism. I think we could do a bit of that. The Portuguese are one of the most cynical, one of the most beautiful to watch when they're doing it properly, one of the most beautiful to watch football countries in the world. They're fantastic players, but they really go for the street smarts to the point that sometimes it holds them back. The Portuguese, they're so busy trying to cheat. And I think that's what a lot of people thought he was doing last week at Hampden. He was so busy trying to get somebody sent off and win a penalty that he forgot to put the ball into the empty net. I don't think that was the case at all. I think he just got his feet wrong. But today, he's fouling folk. He's pushing people in the back. He's just giving the referee zero option but to blow, and he was doing it in bad places. He starts reacting to the crowd. Something Borna was doing as well. Talk about the strangeness of this game today. Borna Barra should start to get in a rammy with St Mirren supporters about where he should place the free kick. He wasn't winding them up. Somebody for the crowd shouting, "You've won a free kick." We won a free kick, and I think Borna replaced the ball. You know how the players always try and steal a few yards from the replacing the ball. I think somebody stayed to him, and he's taking it as an affront to his honour. Then when he's saying, "No, it was here. It was here." Don't argue with him, Borna. Just go on with it. It was a really strange that today, and I think a bit like the ball boy throwing the ball away from Balogun, who won that shy early doors. I think our manager just saw he's getting involved with the crowd. He's going to have to go get him off. So he lasted 10 minutes of the second half. Poor Fabio Silva. On came Ross McCausland, who kind of come back and who came into the first team properly earlier in the season with his start coming on for Zach Lovelace at this very ground. He was great. Does his thing, Ross McCausland. Not spectacular, but he just runs. He runs where he's supposed to run, and you can rely on him to put a shift in. He's not going to shirk at all. Very deliberate, but I like wee Ross. So he come on and is having a go. He's putting himself about, and that was it in terms of substitutions. But Scott Wright come on for Borna Barris. It's really just pushing Sterling back to left back to let Wright go over and play in the right wing. Didn't really have a lot of involvement in the game. We had one other substitution, which is Tom Lawrence eventually come on. He come on for Todd Cantwell, who then took an interest in the game. He took a proper interest. He was getting a lot of fouls against him. I think St Mirren players persistent fouling, if nothing else, despite some of the actual kind of almost violence of the fouls, should have been getting a few more yellow cards today. That's why when Jack Butland get his yellow card in the 85th minute, if you've played any kind of level of football, if you've that was pub league stuff, but goalies, once they get outside the box, they want to clear you. They love nothing better than going through centre forward. So I'm not as that was never a foul as a lot of the other Rangers support are today about the one that he picked the booking up for. But I felt it was a bit harsh compared to some of the stuff that St Mirren players were doing when they got that booking in the 85th minute. Jack Butland, he brought us, sorry, I'm forgetting, Butland, was it half time? I don't know what the score was at the time, 0-0 or 1 each or whatever, but he pulls off this save in the first half, which was just sublime, absolutely fantastic. He's heading one way, the ball goes the other way, point blank range stuff, turns around, just gets his hand to it. And you can see Jack Butland's actually thinking, how did I do that? Alex Gogic actually ends up giving him a hug for how good a save it was. Never mind, played goalie, well done. It was a full-on hug. That was amazing. So he's won as the game in many respects, Jack Butland, with his performance. But I'm really struggling here, guys, because the nerves are absolutely shredded. I'm trying to get this out before the actual main pod starts tonight at 9:30. We pile forward. And Todd Cantwell, I say, he'd been getting a hard time, but he'd been trying. He'd be part of any kind of flow and move that we got going forward. And in the second half, after terrible opening 20 minutes of the second half, we started kind of getting our feet on the ball and playing a bit. Todd himself was infuriating me at the time he got through and got in it. He'd done that thing where the brilliance of his skill to get into the box and create an angle for himself through a sea of defenders, and he's curling the ball to the back post, you suddenly see it. That's an option. He could have put that in there. So you're raging at him for not actually putting it in when you would have no chance. You would have no idea that it was actually a chance if he hadn't been so skillful in the first place. But it gets past the far post and you're thinking it's just not going to happen for us today. We are absolutely chucking this. This team are psychologically, physically gone. And I think they are, because the concern today was we've had a whole week off and the level of performance hadn't really stepped up that much. So I'm hoping we've got it over the line. We can consolidate psychologically, physically for another week, and we can really step it up a level. Is it Kelly next Sunday at Ibrox? But eventually we just work it to Tav at the he's out on the right hand side. Tav just puts an absolute cracker of a ball, and the St Mirren goalkeeper again has taken himself out the game a lot. It might have been Bolton, the same centre half, who had scored the own goal in the first half, but he ends up on the deck, and there's Cyril Dessers, big blue-eyed boy. He just nods it into the back of an almost empty net. 2-1 to Rangers, and they suddenly start mentioning on Sky that's him on 20 goals for the season. Dessers in all competitions. I think it was 14 for the league, perhaps. And there's talk of how that hadn't been done since, was it 2015 or back 2010, 2010-ish. Chris Boyd and Kenny Miller both getting 20 goals in a season for Rangers. The first time we've had that, two players on 20 goals. The other one, of course, is James Tavernier this season. But it turned out it was the winner, but not until, I think we'd one more chance. With Tom Lawrence doing that thing where he ghosts through, he did when he came on as a sub for Todd Cantwell. Shortly after we scored that goal, was it 74th minute? I think 15, 16 minutes to go. Lawrence is doing the same thing he did against Hearts last week, where he's ghosting through. But he's like he's playing against a team who's got to go forward, and he's catching them like a one-man five-a-side team like that. Suddenly he's reducing the one whole half of the pitch, the opposition half of the pitch, to a kind of five-a-side pitch. He's just cruising right through it, and he's having a couple of goals on goal, but not to the same extent it was against Hearts. And it was as the clock went up, the board went up, saying 6 minutes injury time. He took himself clean through almost, worked a great angle, took the goalie out of the game and curls it in towards the back post, and Alex Gogic comes in out of nowhere and deflects it past the post. Amazing bit of defending from him, but Christ, I just thought at that moment in time, it's just not going to happen. This Mark O'Hara, who always scores against us for Dundee, Motherwell, or St Mirren, he's going to get a last minute equaliser. John Lundstrom's going to score a Lundstrom or Tav is going to get an own goal, a deflection or something deep into injury time. 6 minutes of injury time, and we really weren't, other than I think Lawrence had a shot on goal as well from kind of close range from a corner. That was it. I think we had 2 chances after we scored the goal. There was no chance of us putting this game to bed. It was just going to be we hang in there or we don't. And St Mirren started getting the corners. They probably had one corner, but it felt like a barrage of them. Tav clears it off the line. Another cracking save from Jack Butland as well. And we got it over the line. We got this game over the line. We got 3 points in the bag. So suddenly you've got a Rangers team who drew the last league game and had lost the league game before that. The arc of improvement, the upward curve is absolutely frightening. There's no stopping us now. We've got Cyril Dessers. That's on 20 goals for the season. That's got to be noted. And I think if we're going to win the league, it will be embodied by Cyril Dessers. People it's so easy to hate. If you don't want, if you do that, if you like to hate anybody who fails as a Rangers player, he's missing chances. There's games he doesn't be involved in at all. And his involvement today was, he's involved in the first goal. His presence in the box definitely creates a threat that distracts defences and lets other people in. He's got the street smarts. He's got the physicality. But he's a guy he's no faster. His speed's just totally wanting. And you see so many opportunities for him to score that he doesn't take, or he's not even involved in, that you can hate him if you want. You can, he's just no good enough, he's no Rangers class or whatever like that. But he's almost a one-season Ali McCoist. He's gone from 0-0 get to fuck to Super Cyril, all in the one season so far. He's getting enough goals. That's him scored 2 winners, as I say, at St Mirren in games that we won by a single goal. He's doing the business. This is after he scored both goals in the Scottish Cup semi-final last week to put us into both cup finals in a single season for the first time since Walter Smith's days, like 2008, 2009. It's an achievement that's kind of gone unnoted, but really in terms of the arc of Rangers' overall improvement since we get back into the top flight, it's something that really has to be noted. And Cyril Dessers has played his part in that. It's even the same thing with Super Ali, really good looking guy, very articulate as well. Ali was always articulate and always a lot bigger built than people realised as a centre forward. He can put himself about. Ali, I remember getting sent off for punching Sandy Clark, his ex-teammate. I was at that game as well, that was 40 years ago. And Cyril Dessers, big guy. He's always on the deck moaning and stuff like that, getting fouled, but he's taking those fouls. He's making stuff happen for Rangers in that sense. And Ali, super articulate, leading on the career he had in the media. Obviously, he still has in the media. Dessers, the same thing. Dessers talking in a second language, obviously. Really articulate, really intelligent guy. Super Ali comes up with "we don't do walking away," a phrase that opposition supporters can't handle. It has blown their mind. They sing it back to us all the time if they possibly can. Cyril Dessers last Sunday, that was absolutely brilliant. The Rangers, they're a hard club to play for, but a beautiful club. That's one for the ages. That's very aphoristic. That's one I'll always remember. I think he summed it up, the plight of Rangers players in a winner there. It's like, it's worth it, but my God, you've digging in. He's got that thing that Ali McCoist had, where he's going to miss chances, but he's going to keep coming back for more, and that's what we need. John Lundstrom isn't perfect. Connor Golson wasn't perfect. James Tavernier isn't perfect. They just keep coming back though. Celtic will go 3 points in front of us. Probably a few more goals today as well. I'm talking about singing 5-7-0-5 after Celtic had played at Dens when I was a kid. 5-7-5 is probably that's the goals that Celtic have passed Dundee this season. But I feel as if we just keep annoying them. We just keep hanging in there. Just get us to Parkhead. Just get us to Parkhead. But if we win, we go level with them on points. That'll do for me now. And we'll see what happens. It's all about challenging. It's all about getting there. And sometimes it's the team. It just remember Wim Jansen's. The great example for me this season is Wim Jansen's Celtic in 1998. The Rangers team, Laudrup and all that. Gascoigne couldn't handle it. He went he had to go in his way. But Andy Gorham, all these guys, the great Rangers team, the 9-in-a-row team, that Wim Jansen's team, were nowhere near as good as them at their best. When Rangers beat them both games at Ibrox, and they only equalised against us in injury time in one of the games at Parkhead. They beat us at New Year, and we beat them in the Scottish Cup semi-final at Parkhead that year. We could beat them face to face and all that, but we ran out of gas. And the Celtic team, they'll probably scoring 5 or 6 goals at least against Dundee as I'm recording this, but they've maybe in that same situation as we were then, but it's assumed they're under a manager who's won the league with them before, has went through periods of great dominance with them. It's kind of assumed they're going to do it again, but as we did in 97, 98, maybe just can't get over the line, so we've got to be there ready to take advantage of that. If they do slip up, there's so much more I could say here, folks, but I've already gone on far too long already. Don't worry, there's only going to be 3 or 4 more of these from me because this season is coming to an end, but Rangers are hanging in there. It's still got a chance of the treble. Tonight it will be Brian is hosting the flagship show, the Gersnet flagship show, live 9:30 on our YouTube channel, and his guests will be Ian Duff and Ross Bennett. So that's going to be good. I would tune into that, folks. That's going to be an absolute cracker. They'll give the game a proper review, unlike myself, and review the whole situation with Rangers still going for the treble and me going for a sit down, take a few pills, maybe a massage, bit of feng shui. We'll see how it goes. Chill, folks. Thanks.